Yes, Assalamu alaikum. This is Dr. Ali Raza Nemati with another rendezvous for CxO Global. And with us today is Umar Rana, the CEO of Alchemative. So, sir, Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum assalam. I'm fine. How are you?
Perfectly fine, Ji. And of course, thanks for joining us. And we always involve people from corporate and academia as well to talk about their experience, to walk us through their experience, exposure, and their success route in their life. So, would you like to introduce yourself and go through us, through a professional journey you've gone through, and that has made you reach to the top?
Okay. So when you say reach to the top, so I don't think I'm yet there, but anyway, let's start with the journey. So I started my career journey for informal journey in 1998 as a IT intern while I was pursuing my computer science degree in an institute. So the formal start of my journey actually happened in 2001, which was joining an ISP. So in a way, I joined this career as a network and a systems specialist in computing and all that. So I did my MCSE in 1998, which was early dose of 1998 MCSE, and then did CCNA, CCNP, kept working with the ISP service provider sector, telecom sector for a couple of more years up till 2004. In 2004, I joined Telenor in the regional network team. It was a pre-launch team. Then I stayed in Telenor for almost about 9 years, roughly about 9 years. During these 9 years, I had the opportunity. Actually, I would say in throughout my career, I always been lucky. Now I feel that I'm lucky because of that. I've been lucky that every new job was different from the previous job. While staying within technology career, but it was different from the standpoint of responsibility areas. So first was systems, then it was network, then it was again systems, then it was contact center, then it was security. So what happened? What this created is this created a sort of diversification in my portfolio in terms of learning and diversification in terms of handling different problems and different management stuff and all that. So by 2007, I reached the management tier within Telenor. And the moment I got to that year, I started focusing towards management training. So I did my PMP and ITL. So I always kept myself updated when it comes to certifications and relevant knowledge and courses. So because that was always from day one, that was very important for me, that whatever I'm doing, I need to be the best at what I'm doing. So this, I think, sort of made my career progression very rapid in terms of vertical and horizontal growth both. So by 2013, I was sort of what you can say not very happy with the way things are going in terms of the stagnation between what I felt in Telenor and any other organization. I think large organization, there comes a point where the amount of creativity and innovation you can have within your role becomes limited, because obviously these are commercial organizations. They have to pursue commercial goals, and while working there, you're set to perform in a certain what you can say boxed dimension or jurisdiction. So this made me frustrated for the last 2 3 years, and then finally I decided 2013 I resigned and started my own company. So throughout my career, I was mainly into IT infrastructure and cloud computing and security and networks and everything. And I started a software house, which was totally not something I did before that. So yeah, that was the first thing. So the reason for me to come into this software development area, the motivation was that I see problems everywhere. Whenever I see something happening, be it a government process or a private sector process or an institute running, or even in my home, so I see problems, and the solution that comes to my mind is always solving those problems using technology in one way or another. So I think this is something which was sort of built into me from very, very early age, childhood, and that was the reason for me to go into the tech career as well. And this made me start my software house. So the vision was to basically use technology to solve problems of the community and the industry at large. We started with education sector. We tried to, because I thought that if I want to do something, I want to do something which can also somehow elevate the economy of Pakistan or somehow benefit Pakistan as well. So we went into education sector. We struggled for 2 years. We developed a very good solution, but we failed to sell that solution to the right
Hmm.
market or position it rightly.
Hmm.
I think more to do with my lack of business understanding and my lack of sales and marketing skill throughout in my career. I was a techie and an introvert, not very comfortable talking to people. So that I think was one of the reasons for the failure of that very first, even though we put a lot of effort in that. But by 2016, I realized that I need to change. First of all, if I need to do something, if I need to create something for community, before doing that, I need to be financially stable. And in order for me to do that, the company needs to make money, because without money, you cannot do anything. So then I started. Throughout my life, my teacher had always been books, because maybe in this regard, I feel I'm unfortunate that I did not have mentors in my life throughout my life. But I always resorted to books. So the book that changed my thought process was Good to Great.
Oh.
Yeah. So that changed my thought process, and then when I realized that, okay, this is what I am doing wrong. I don't need to be an expert of everything. I just need to have the right people with me. So if I am weak at something, I need to find the other partner who's good at that thing. So that changed my thought process, and we started building the company, and that is where we entered the retail sector in 2016. Uh, During these 2 years of failures, we were able to form a team, and we developed the ability to solve problems, complicated problems. That actually helped us when we entered the retail sector, because retail sector was starting, or in a way I would say booming, especially in the e-commerce side. It was the early days of e-commerce, and there were a lot of problems that needed to be solved, and we were very good at solving those problems. So we started solving those problems, and we started getting clients, and then word of mouth spread, and we keep on getting clients and clients and clients, and eventually by 2017 we were one of the major players in within e-commerce industry. So how did we achieve this? So this is very important to understand for anybody who's starting a business. We did not focus on getting more business. We always focused on solving problems, and solving those problems which are not generally considered by people easy to solve. Because my thought process was always,
Hmm.
if we do something which others are reluctant to do, we will be the first one to get the opportunity there.
Hmm.
So this actually rapidly, in a way, gave us the rapid growth which we were never expecting in e-commerce. And by 2019, we were one of the largest e-commerce
Lovely.
services, technology services company in Pakistan.
Great.
So yeah. So obviously it's still 2022, but I think I should stop here.
No,
Let's yeah.
no, great. It was great listening to you. Of course, I've felt the rigor you've gone through in your life, and of course, you were speaking so much from your heart. I was just kept listening to you, and you were just running us through the journey. This, how did you get successful, and also you talked about the failure you had. So, and also you talked about the sustainability. You talked about companies' commercial growth. It's not about only opening companies. It's all about achieving commercial growth. And until or unless we do not achieve a commercial growth, we are not sustainable, right?
Yeah,
And of
yeah.
course, the book you have mentioned, that is Good to Great by Jim Collins. That is, few companies make a leap, and of course, a few companies don't. Of course, this is the difference in he's talked about. So for this, then my next question is, how do you see the startups in Pakistan? Of course, we see many startups in Pakistan. They like, have the right fire in the belly, and then they move on very great. However, they do not meet the sustainability to be self-sustainable without any venture capitalists. So how do you see that?
So yeah, so I think it's in a way good that I stopped at 2019, because from 2019 onwards, that is where we started creating new entities, and I think that's a very important discussion. Your question actually points to that. So one very important lesson we learned is during this process that we should not be attempting too many activities at the same time. We need to specialize. We need to become successful at one, and then we need to diversify. This is a very common mistake right now, especially in young generation. I see that they are, from a very get go, they start four businesses all together,
Yes.
and then they expect all four to somehow succeed. Number one. Number two, uh, the startup economy in general. Whenever we created a new company, it is so. Alchemative reached this point at 2019, being an expert of e-commerce, understanding retail and everything. Then we created a product. The product was called Jinko. It was an omni-channel engine. for e-commerce and retail industry. But we were able to create it because we were experimenting and working with retail industry for the last 4 years, and we had made success stories out of it. So we created that product. That product became successful, but we did not spun it off as a separate
Hmm.
company till 2021. We ensured that this company is sustainable from day one when it becomes a separate company. And that had been the case for all the entities we created out of Alchemative. So Alchemative is now sort of a group of companies. It's like 4 or 5 companies now. All of them actually came out of Alchemative. But every time the process was same: create a department, make it successful, make the customer happy, make that department independently profitable, then spun it off as a company. And so far, none of the companies we have never raised venture money, and it's all self-funded so far. So the important part here is, from the day one, whenever we come to a new idea and we start creating something, we don't start thinking from the point of getting the investment. We start with a thought process of solving the problem,
Great.
being making the customer happy, making the customer pay for it happily, because they get the value out of it. Once you reach the PNL, positive PNL. So for me, it's very important. Even if I want to raise money, I will only raise money when the company or the project is already in profit, so that investors can see that this entity or this person or this team had ensured the sustainability of the product or company first, and then they're talking about growth. So yes, there are scenarios where the funding required is too big of a number,
Hmm.
where a company cannot start without the funding. But if the founding members had this thought that
Hmm.
this funding will take them somewhere, that can never happen. Their business model is something they need to focus on rather than the funding.
Great. So right. So if I sum it up, it all depends upon the strategy and also the human capital intervention, also the decision making people. Right. For example, you have decided that we right now, for instance, we do not feel it to spin off this respective strategic business unit from Alchemative, and then once you've felt that, of course, we need to now spin it off and make it a separate company because you've seen the profit and loss scenarios. So that was, the thing, that is very important for all startups to see that whether their company remains sustainable. And of course, they need to see that for example, anybody who needs to run a company needs to run it without any venture capital support. So this is how it is. So before he joins, so I would like to sum things up, right? Some things I'm like this. Of course, he was focusing on the fact that it's not about only going for startups. It's all about making sure that, of course, you are making your business sustainable, and human capital remains a very important resource in making that, right? So I guess Mr. Umar is back. Yes, it is clear now, and yes, I guess we had
Yeah,
a
yeah.
glitch.
So,
Yes,
yeah,
IT
yeah. I
glitch.
think maybe. Yeah. Is it okay now?
Yes, it's okay now. You're clear. You're audible. So
Yeah.
quickly to another question,
Human
right?
resource.
Yes,
Yeah, I
quickly to
just
another
wanted to cover
question.
this human resource part
Okay, okay,
because I think
okay.
that was left out. So the second most important part after PNL and everything was the human resource part. Because if I'm spinning that company off to a new entity, I need to ensure that I'm not the CEO of that company because I cannot focus on 4 companies. That means if I'm not the CEO, the CEO at that position, the second year and third year needs to be intact, fully functional before that new company goes independently. So this was the important thing. What happens is I see people having CEO title in 4 companies, and none of them are performing. So except for an exception of Mr. Elon Musk, he can be CEO of like 4 companies. But
Yes.
other than that, I think it's normally not possible.
But great. But of course, this is one of the favorite topics to me. But I guess we. But I guess now I need to ask you a question. Let me know that, of course, how difficult it is for a leader to let go his venture or his initiative, because I've seen leaders who are into this making a company from a scratch to a bigger company. They feel insecurity letting their company go in somebody else's hand for the operational purpose as a CEO, and then they keep on going for micromanagement in that respective place, and even do not leave that title as well. So how do you see those leaders, for the respective companies?
So I have 2 thoughts about it. One is, uh, that there are people who do not have enough creative ideas or enough confidence in themselves as leaders, that once this entity they have handed over to another leader, they can actually do something else. So they are always in fear because they're lacking ideas and they're lacking capability actually. So the first success they got, somehow they got that success. It would be market, it would be anything. But if they're afraid of losing that, that means they're actually not capable. They were originally not capable to deliver that. That's my very harsh aspect of one side. The second thing is, it's a natural phenomena to be possessive about something you've struggled and worked upon. It's a natural phenomenon to be possessive about. It's natural phenomena to be associated with it from a standpoint. Okay, if I have my repute is this company's repute. If this company goes down because of the new leadership, my repute also goes down. So this question was actually asked to me by one of my colleagues. He was actually thinking of experimenting this thing to hand over his company to somebody else. And he asked this question. I said, okay, what you need to do is, once you hand over your company, you're not letting it go. Now you are ensuring the success of that company through that new leader. So your target was previously that company. Your object of your expertise, your machine, the thing you're working in was that company. Now is that one person, that new CEO. You need to ensure that person's success. If that person succeeds, you succeed. And eventually, you never lose your company, actually.
Wish I could be in front of you and I could have clapped you. You could have had the biggest clap. You have summed up very well. Of course, you need to take care of that person who is taking care of your company. So we need to take care of people, and they will take care of our business. This is what
Yes.
people with intellect and acumen say. So if I walk to another question, right? What do you feel like in next 5 years or currently? How much IT tech savvy a normal person may be, right? For example, if I'm a PhD in management, how much is it important for me to be tech savvy, IT savvy, and what is the difference you felt working abroad and in Pakistan in the traits of human capital? These are my two questions relevant to the human capital.
Okay, so from the tech savviness of any individual who's basically not a techie, in my opinion, obviously this is an established fact. It's not my opinion actually. We are working in information age, so if we do not have the tools to process information, how can we work? That's a very simple and straightforward answer. Anybody expecting to not learn and being the tech savvy and still survive in the current business environment or even current age, as we call it, information age, I think it's just like you're born in a time when everybody's having fire at their homes and you don't have fire, so you want to survive in that winter. So that's the kind of answer I would give to the people who don't want to learn technology and don't want to be tech savvy. That's a very simple and straightforward answer. But there's other aspect to it. Technology is changing at a very fast pace, very fast, and at a rate which most of us cannot even cope up with. That's one of the challenges. And as per the Singularity Institute's report, by 2045, the rate of change of technology in the environment itself, because of technology, which would reach a point which they call a singularity point, a normal human intellect will never be able to needs to be augmented. So mobile is one of the augmentations we use. Watch is one of the augmentations we use. Humans need to be augmented to even survive in that environment. Otherwise, they would not be able to survive in that environment. So these are the two extreme pictures. So yes, the simple and the soft picture is learn technology, you can survive. The other extreme is you cannot live without it. It's impossible to live after some time without it. So from the standpoint of international workforce in Pakistan, yeah. The very fundamental difference, the very core difference, what I would say is the level of accountability. Self-accountability is the major differentiator between international and local manpower. I would not say that, okay, because some things are obvious. Education system is collapsing, so universities are not producing good graduates. This is common knowledge. But what differentiates between two workforces is the attitude. And that is basically the point of accountability. Because as I think as a nation, we're not accountable in general. That actually goes into the workforce as well. So the lack of accountability and ownership is one of the major factors anybody would consider hiring international resources rather than Pakistan or people from Pakistan.
Okay, great. So, if I, just get a little bilingual for the people, who are listening from Asia and Southeast Asia, would you like to explain a difference between digital transformation of an organization and digital inclusion, in simple words? कि एक organization के लिए digital transformation क्या है और digital inclusion क्या है? Few organizations may be digitally inclusive but not ready for digital transformation. So, आप क्योंकि this is your area, right? So, आसान language examples.
So digital inclusion is that any organization which is ready to accept digital tools for their day-to-day business, that's digital inclusion. So for example, a company कहती है कि अच्छा यार ठीक है, let's not okay, अब हम मोबाइल फोन आ गए हैं तो हम मोबाइल फोन इस्तेमाल करते हैं, ये लैंडलाइन फोन को अब बंद कर देते हैं. दिस इज सॉर्ट ऑफ अ डिजिटल इंक्लूजन माइंडसेट कि ठीक है अब माइग्रेट करते हैं, फैक्स लगाने की अब जरूरत नहीं है, ईमेल पे काम चल रहा है ना, तो लेट्स फॉरगेट अबाउट दिस फैक्स मशीन. वो जो लेटर लिख के भेजा था कोरियर के थ्रू, उसकी अब जरूरत नहीं है, ईमेल कैन सफाइस. तो ये है कि इंक्लूजन. सो यू इंक्लूड द टेक्नोलॉजी, यू मूव विद द वे द वर्ल्ड इज मूविंग, यू मूव विद द बिजनेस. ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन इज स्लाइटली डिफरेंट. ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन में आप ये कहते हैं कि the way the fundamental processes of the organization, they need to be transformed, they need to be converted into a digital enabled process. So classic example है, आपको HR से छुट्टी चाहिए, so there are 3 levels of doing that ना. एक है कि आप एक लेटर लिख के उसके पास ले जाते हैं, जो अभी भी हमारी बहुत सारी पाकिस्तानी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस और पूरी दुनिया में हर जगह ही हो रहा है. उसके ऊपर जीएम के साइन होंगे, एचआर के साइन होंगे, फिर वो अकाउंट्स की फाइल जमा हो जाएगी और आप छुट्टी ले सकते हैं. दूसरा है कि कोई सॉफ्टवेयर इंस्टॉल हुआ होगा जहां पे आप जाके एक लीव अप्लाई कर देते हैं और लीव अप्लाई हो जाती है. ये सेमी ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन है. बट देयर इज द नेक्स्ट स्टेज ऑफ ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन वेयर यू इंक्लूड एआई इनटू इट. फॉर एग्जांपल, एक बंदा कहता है मुझे कैजुअल लीव चाहिए, मैं अभी घर निकल रहा हूं क्योंकि मेरी वाइफ बीमार है, तो आप उसकी छुट्टी रोक तो सकते नहीं है. So why have that process in place? So why not there should be an AI that auto approves that kind of leave, because this leave cannot be rejected. या वो घर पे है और कहता है जी मैं सुबह उठा और मैं बाथरूम में गिर गया, मुझे चोट लगी, मैं दफ्तर नहीं आ सकता, मुझे सिक लीव चाहिए. अब that leave do not need to go through that process of applying and approval and all that. So digital transformation वो है कि आप अपने पूरे प्रोसेस को इतना डिजिटाइज कर दें, it becomes easy, it becomes automated. And you utilize AI and all these technologies to do business faster.
Yes, and hopefully, as a mankind, we do not find ways to abuse AIs, and tech. But otherwise, we're gonna being a director HR, my area remains HR, in the last 14 years. So I've seen people, अक्सर लोग यहाँ पे अक्सर नानी दादी को 6 दफा मारते हैं just for the fact that they need to leave. Anyways, so coming back,
लेकिन AI को याद होगा, AI को याद होगा कि भाई ये तो हो चुका है पहले. Humans
नानी दोबारा नहीं बचता. So what are the key traits you feel a person these days, a person like me, for example, if I take an example, right, if I'm a kind of a C-suite guy, in the top leadership, for me, and then the mid-tier or in the junior tier, what kind of a tech traits a person needs in this information age era, to be successful, and employer needs it? I guess, yes, he's joining back. Umar sahab, yes, you are back. So let me repeat my question very quickly. That what kind of traits are you looking for? Are you looking for a person being of the digital traits, as an employer in this information age? Yes.
Yeah, so I remember the question you actually earlier asked, so I'll basically club both questions here. So obviously, very basic is, for example, right now when we hire, we put it a mandatory requirement to you to know G Suite or Google Workspace, because we work in Google Workspace. So that means you need to know how to schedule meetings and use calendar and make Google documents and collaborative documents, and how to use storage and Dropbox and Meets. And so this is basic, bare minimum. It's like in early times, if you don't know how to write, how can you do a clerical work? So it's like these are the very basics we're talking about. Then we are talking about the C-suite, as you said, and the senior management and the employer side. I believe it's for them, it's not being tech savvy is not enough. they need to be at the forefront of understanding technology. For example,
Great.
because they need to drive the organization. For example, you're an HR person. So you need to understand it's not enough to have an HR management system implemented. How to actually fully automate this and eliminate human intervention in different places. Just like recently GPT chat have done for a lot of things. I'm experimenting with the recently GPT chat, and I see that up to 70% of the HR processes does not require a human being to process them.
True.
If you so yeah, so that's the kind of thought a leader needs to have, because otherwise the organization is going to be stagnant and it's never going to grow. So it be it a C-suite leader or a CEO or whatever, or an employer, the leader needs to be at the forefront.
Absolutely right. And the leader needs to believe on IT intervention as well. Whenever I personally felt, whenever I brought this tech in the processes and process flows, I felt a need कि लोगों का resistance. I felt resistance of the change. I have seen, and of course, what do you feel like? Imagine with respect to this information age, we are having live chat, and I believe you are not in Pakistan, of course, and we are having a video call right now, and we are having such a lovely talk with such an intellect and acumen. What do you feel? How much important these forums are, like CxO Global Forum, for us, to educate people and to involve exposure of the people who are working in corporate sector and academia. If I hope you didn't lose my video again and chat again. Umar Saab, we again, I guess you are again stuck with your video and your voice. So the question, just to again, remain connected to the audience, just to let them know that, of course, these are the humble initiatives of the people like CxO Global Forum for bringing right people in front of you, so that they talk about the present information age, and they also talk about the recent developments in IT tech savvy things, right? So Umar Saab is back. Umar Saab, of course, the last question is, yes.
I got
do you
your
feel
questions.
yes.
I got both the questions. Yeah. So basically, if we talk about the forums like CxO Global and all these forums, so I think they are very important. They give us the ability to connect and share. So if this forum is not here, how would I be sharing all this what I have experienced so far? So I believe there is a very important value these forums and these channels and these groups need to give to the society, and they are giving to the society and business at large and in general. And this role actually needs to improve and grow. There needs to be more sessions and more organizations like this, or maybe larger. Somehow we need to include more people. So my story of joining CxO Global is very strange, actually. So I joined CxO Global about 2 years back, and I was sitting with one of my friends, and he said, "Okay, Umar, are you part of CxO?" I said, "No, I'm not part of CxO." He said, "Why are you not part of CxO? You're running this company for the last 7 years, and you've done this. Have you ever heard about CxO?" Yes, I've heard about CxO, but I'm not. And he said, CxO is having a session in your building right now. And so he brought Kamal in there and then and get me connected with that and became part of that. But the problem, which I discussed with Kamal at the same time, and still I think that's a problem for me, people like me. We tech founders mostly are introverts. We don't want to come in public very often. So I think that somehow these forums somehow need to work on this aspect of things. How to bring those people out who have done something, achieved something, but they're hiding in their office or cubicle and working for the next big thing, but not visible anywhere. So I think this is the only thing that needs to be done by these forums. Otherwise, they are excellent forums. They give you ability to connect with a lot of diversified people and diversified businesses. So yeah, so I value the membership of this forum in every way. One thing I wanted to add, I think it was related to your previous question in terms of digitization and all. I recently actually listened to a very strange podcast, strange concept, not a strange, but it's a reality if you think about it. The person was saying that we still mentally live in a time when 24-hour day was the reality. So you write a letter and you send to somebody, and then you wait for 2 days to get a reply, and you plan everything in 24 hours. Whereas now everything you do is get done in seconds. So why have this mindset that my day is 24 hours? Why not your day can be 6 hours and you can have 3 days in one day,
Well,
essentially?
lovely. Yes.
So anyways, that was a thought that actually changed the thinking process, how to think about it.
Very, very good. I always catch these kind of thoughts because I remain to be a trainer as well. So just to conclude, it was lovely being with you. And of course, one of the C-suite leader I was coaching someday. So he told me that, of course, Ali, the issue sometimes I face is, I cannot tell people that, of course, I'm sometimes pessimistic and I'm sometimes introvert, right? So, Menika, sir, why do you feel like, this is something bad, being pessimistic? People consider this to be a bad. So I said, sir, who has made parachute? He said, a pessimist. I said, who has made vaccine? He said, a pessimist. I said, who has made a tank? He said, pessimist. Menega, why do you lock your home at night being a pessimist? So everybody who has made a lock is a pessimist. Even a key and a lock is a pessimist invention. So, sir, it's normally people create this connotation to be a negative connotation, but everyone plays the respective role in the society with respect to his or her acceptance. So this is how introverts are, extroverts are. Everybody, has his own competence. So, but I love the way you have spoken about the failure you had in between for the sustainability, and also talked about the fact, of course, many IT individuals and experts are introverts because they do not talk to people. They normally talk to machines. So, pleasure having you, Umar, and it has been, we'll stay connected, and hopefully we'll involve you in future as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.